This robber loves robbing houses, right? In house robber 1, all the houses were arranged in a linear fashion. In house robber 2, these houses were arranged in a circular fashion. In house robber 3, these houses are this time arranged in form of a binary tree, correct? And the condition to rob remains the same. You cannot rob any two adjacent houses. Now, when it comes to a binary tree, any adjacent node would be a house, then any of its child nodes or its parent node, correct? So you have to determine what is the maximum loot that the robber can take when he is not robbing any two adjacent nodes. So before proceeding ahead with this problem, since this is an extension of House Robber 1 and 2, I would highly recommend you to check out those videos first. Whenever you are ready, we can go about solving this one. Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. First, I'm gonna explain you this problem statement and we'll look at some sample test cases. Next, we will see how you can apply somewhat of the same technology and same method to come up with a solution to this problem. And then as usual, we will also do a dry run of the code so that you can understand how all of this is actually working in action. Without further ado, let's get started. First of all, let us make sure that we understood the problem statement correctly. In this problem, you are given a binary tree that determines the money stored in each house. So each node of the binary tree will tell you that, okay, this much money is available in this house. And the robber wants to rob the maximum amount of money based on a condition that no two houses should be adjacent, right? In the previous two problems of house robber 1 and 2, it was the same condition, correct? No two houses could be adjacent. But in house robber 1, they were in linear, and in house robber 2, they were in a circular fashion. This time, these houses are arranged in form of a binary tree. So what does adjacent houses mean when it comes to a binary tree? Let us look at our test case number 1 to understand it better. So for example, if you choose to rob the first house, that is the root house, then find out how many nodes are connected with it. Both nodes 2 and 3 are connected, right? So you cannot rob any of these two houses. But there is an important thing. Look at the last level. You see a house 3 and a house 1, right? So although they look adjacent, but they are not connected with each other. They are connected only to their parent node, right? So the robber is free to rob any of these houses or both of these houses. So that is the main thing that you have to understand what do adjacent houses mean when it comes to a binary tree. So for a test case number 1, the maximum amount can be robbed if the robber robs all of these three houses. And then his grand total will be 7, correct? So you can see that we satisfied all the conditions. They are in form of a binary tree and no two houses are adjacent. So we were good over there. Similarly, in our test case number 2, the robber will be able to rob the maximum amount when he is robbing 9, 8 and 7. So it is also important to understand that it is not necessary that houses on two adjacent levels are also adjacent. You can see that these houses, they are on adjacent levels, right? But they are not connected to each other. 8 is not connected to 7. 8 is connected to 2. So this is what you have to keep in mind. So in this particular test case, 24 will be your answer, right? This is the maximum loot. So now if you feel that you have understood the problem statement even better, feel free to try it out first. Otherwise, let us see how we can go about approaching this problem. To understand this problem, let us take up our test case number 2, right? This is how the houses are arranged, right? And now let us go back to the basics. If you're a robber and you see a house, what do? You have only two choices. Either you rob a house or you leave it. There is no other third choice, correct? And do you remember how in our first problem we started off with our very last house, right? We were either choosing to either rob it or leave it, correct? Similarly, in this example also, let me start off with the last house first. So to understand things, I'm starting with the last house. That is the house which has 7 amount of money, right? So right now I see this house over here and I will have two choices, either to rob it or to not rob it. And then from this, we will try to form a solution. We will see what happens. So what happens if you decide that, okay, I want to rob this house? If you decide to rob this, you get an amount of 7, right? And if you decide that, okay, I do not want to rob this house, then your total amount will be 0, correct? Now, let us move on to our next house. That is the house with money 8, right? So once again, I have this house with me and I have two choices. Either I will rob it or I will leave it, correct? So if I rob this house, I will be able to get an amount of 8, right? And if I do not rob this house, then I will have the amount of 0, right? Because I cannot go anywhere else, right? So that's what we are doing right now. Either we rob it or we don't rob it. Now let us move ahead. Let us look at our house number 2. So I get this new house now, and I can see that this house is connected to both 8 and 7. Now once again, if you're at this house, you are offered with two choices. Either you rob this house or you do not rob this house, right? So if you decide that you want to rob this house, that means you want to determine this value, that what is the total if you're robbing this house. If you rob this house, then there is a condition. You cannot rob its adjacent houses. And that is both of its child nodes, correct? And now look at the values. These are the values that you got when you did not rob 8 and you did not rob 7. So if you're robbing this house, the total amount that you can get is 2, right? Because you cannot retrieve value from these two houses. What is the next alternative? The next alternative is you decide that you do not want to rob this house. Now, if you decide that, okay, you do not want to rob this house, you have to fill in this value. So now you have a choice. Either you can rob both of them, either you can rob none of them, or you can rob only one of them. So you have to determine what is the best possible scenario for you. Right now, the best possible scenario will be that, okay, I will rob 8 and I will rob 7, both of them. So that gives me a total of 15, right? So up till now, what this is telling me is that if I had only one house, that is 7, then if I robbed it, then I would have got the amount of 7. If not, I will get 0. If I had only this house, on robbing it, I would either get 8. If I don't rob it, I will get a 0. If I have 3 houses arranged in this manner, then what is the maximum amount that you can rob? You will be able to rob a maximum amount if you're robbing 8 and 7, right? And that is reflected over here. And if you're choosing to rob this house, then you will only get an amount of 2 because you cannot rob 8 and 7. So look at these two values. The maximum of these value will tell me that, okay, if I start at this point, what is the maximum amount I can rob? To validate this theory, let us look at the house with amount 3. So I have this note over here with me, and if I choose that, okay, I want to rob this house. So then if I rob it, I can only get an amount of 3. And if I decide that, okay, I don't want to rob it, I get a value of 0 again, correct? Now let us look at this house that has the money 9, right? So once again, I have two options. Either I rob it or I don't rob it. If I'm choosing that, okay, I want to rob this house, that means I cannot rob house 3. And if I'm not robbing house 3, then what money do I get? I get 0. So right now, I'm just gonna put 9 in here. And similarly, if I decide that, okay, I do not want to rob this house, I want to fill up this value, then I'm open. Either I can choose to rob it or not. So I will choose the maximum of this value. And I choose that, okay, it's better to rob it. So if I'm not robbing house 9, then I will get a total amount of 3, right? So once again, try to understand what just happened. If I only had the house 3, then either I choose to rob it, I get amount of 3. If I don't rob it, I get 0. If I only have this structure, then look at this array. The maximum of this value will tell you that, okay, I can get a maximum amount of 9. So now let us start putting all of this together. Let me bring in the leftover house, and that is 1, right? So once again, when I'm at the top, I will once again have two values. Either I choose to rob this house or I don't rob it, correct? And realize that we are doing dynamic programming. We are building up our solution. So once we are at the top, let us say I choose that I want to rob this house. That is the green one. So when I'm robbing this house, that means I cannot rob 9 and I cannot rob 2. Correct? And when I'm not robbing, what is the amounts that I get? I get 15 and I get 3. These are the amounts that I get when I'm not robbing. So to fill up this value, what I'm going to do is I will do 1, that is from robbing this, plus 3 when I'm not robbing this, plus of 15 but I'm not robbing 2. So overall, I get a value of 19. So this is telling me that if I choose to rob 1, then I can get a maximum loot of 19. Similarly, what happens if I decide that, okay, I do not want to rob my first house? Then I have a lot of choices. Then I can decide that, do I want to rob house 9? Do I want to rob house 2? Or what do I want to do? I will choose what is the maximum value, what is the best for me, because I have to get the maximum loot, right? So when I'm over here, I get the maximum loot when I'm choosing not to rob house 2, right? So I will take up 15 from over here. And then when I'm over here, I get the maximum value when I'm choosing to rob this house, right? So I get the value 9 over here. So adding them, I get the value 24. So you can see, if I have this entire structure, if I choose to rob house 1, then this is the maximum amount I can get. And if I choose not to rob house number 1, this is the maximum amount I can get. And the answer will be the maximum of these values. This is what we're doing at every step, right? If this was the tree, then you will get your maximum value if you choose not to rob 2. You will rob 8 and 7. If your tree was only this much, then you're getting a maximum value if you choose to rob 9 and you're not robbing 3, right? So with this, you can safely say that, okay, 24 will be your answer. And this is the maximum loot that you can get. So based on all of this, let us try to simplify just by looking at the basic skeleton of a tree. For a basic skeleton of a tree, what will you have? You will have a root node and you will have two child nodes, B and C, correct? And now what happens is, for each of these nodes, you will have two conditions. Either you rob or you skip it. Either you rob or you skip it, right? So starting off with the node number C, either I will choose to rob it, so I will get some value, C rob, and I will get some value if I choose to skip it, right? Similarly, for node B, if I choose to rob it, I get some value, that is B rob, and if I choose to skip it, I get some value, that is B skip, right? Now ultimately, let us look at our node A. And once again, we have to fill both of these values, right? Either you will rob A or you will not rob A. So first of all, if I'm choosing to rob A, that means I cannot rob my child nodes, right? And if I'm not robbing my child nodes, what were the values I had? That means I'm skipping B and I'm skipping C. So I can safely say that if I'm not robbing A, then this value will be that you skip B and you skip C as well. And this is what will get inserted over here, right? And similarly, if I decide that, okay, I do not want to rob A, then I have a lot of choices. I can choose that if I want to rob B or not. I can choose that if I want to rob C or not. I will choose the maximum of these values, right? So what I'm going to do is, if I choose to rob A, then what I'm going to do is, I will take the maximum of either robbing B or skipping B, plus I will take the maximum of either robbing C or skipping C. And if you quickly look back at the steps that we were doing, that's all we were doing over here, right? To fill these values, we were referencing all our values in the just adjacent level, right? Because we have calculated already what happened down there. And this is what makes dynamic programming so much beautiful. So what we're going to do is, we will take advantage of just these two formula and try to write a code such that things become very, very simple. Just follow the dry run of the code and it will be very simple for you. On the left side of your screen, you have the actual code to implement this solution. And on the right, once again, I have this tree whose root is passed in as an input parameter to the function rob. And now, to follow ahead with a dry run, what is the first thing that we do? We want to create an array or two choices, right? That will determine that either a house is robbed or it is not. Correct? And that is where we get our two choices. And based on these two choices, we just want to return the maximum value, right? Either that will be when you rob the first house or that will be when you leave out the first house, correct? So I am returning whatever is the maximum value. And this will be your answer, correct? So what you need to do now? You need to travel through your entire tree to fill up all of these values, right? And this will give you your two options. So let us proceed with that. Oh, and by the way, this complete code and its test cases are also available in my GitHub profile. You can find the link in the description. So moving on with the dry run, I have this function with me that is traveling through my entire tree. And let us quickly see what is happening over here. So first of all, what I have over here is I have a base case. That means if I encounter a null, that simply means that I have to return an array that has 0 in both the choices, because you cannot rob a null. Even if you rob, you will get 0. If you don't rob, then you will get a 0. Correct? Now, moving on, since tree is a generic structure, right? So you will have to find out these two values for the left node, and you will have to find out these two values for the right node as well. Correct? So if you look ahead in our code, what do? Once again, we try to obtain the choices for the left node and we try to obtain the choices for the right node. This will recurse again and you will get both of these values, right? And this will keep on happening. So you will try to populate these two values for each of the node. So you understand that the recursion will keep on happening, right? But once you are at the base case, then your actual commands will be executed, right? And to execute them, what do? You create an array that has two choices. At index 0, you're going to store what happens if you rob. And at index 1, you will store what happens if you do not rob, right? And you will try to fill up both of these values, correct? So when I'm storing the value at index 0, that means I'm robbing the house. Then I cannot rob my child nodes, right? So I will choose the value at index 1 in both of these cases. So what it simply means that when I'm filling up this value, then I am choosing the values at index 1 of my left node and the right node, right? So I'm choosing these two values. And then similarly, to fill up my right value, what do? I fill up my index 1 with the maximum of the left node choices and the maximum of the right node choices. And this way, your choices will be populated all throughout the tree, and at the very end, you're just gonna return what is the maximum value. The time complexity of this solution is order of n. That is because you're going through all the nodes only once. And the space complexity of this solution is also order of n. That is because in a recursive stack, you will need to maintain some space to recurse backwards all the way to the root node. I hope I was able to simplify the problem and its solution for you. As per my final thoughts, I just want that you take a moment and think about all the three problems that we just discussed. House robber 1, 2 and 3. And do you realize how similar these problems were, and at the same time they were all different? They were similar on the idea that the underlying concept remains the same. You either choose a house to rob or you don't choose it, correct? And it is just an extension of it. And this is the main crux of how dynamic programming works. Whenever you're iterating, you just have to decide, okay, do you want to take this element or not? And with the completion of these three problems, I believe it gives you a good idea of dynamic programming as well. Now you have applied dynamic programming in a linear structure, in a circular structure, and in a tree-based structure as well. Correct? So, based upon this idea, did you find any other problems while solving where you could apply dynamic programming on these three structures? Or rather, now that you know how to apply, can you solve some of the previous problems that you were facing a problem with? Can you try to apply a similar technique? Or were there any other problems? Did you face any problems while going through the video? Tell me everything in the comment section below and I would love to discuss all of them with you. As a reminder, if you found this video helpful, please do consider subscribing to my channel and share this video with your friends. This motivates me to make more and more such videos where I can simplify programming for you. Also let me know what problem do you want me to solve next. Until then, see ya.